The rain pounded on the windshield of Jake's USPS delivery truck, blurring the world outside. His heart raced as he clutched the soggy package, his eyes locked on a note taped to it, written in shaky red ink. Help. I'm trapped. 142 Elm Street. Hurry. The words hit him like a punch. Jake, a mail carrier for 10 years, has seen plenty of strange packages, but nothing like this. His hands shook as he reread the note, the rain drumming louder, like it was urging him to move. Elm Street was on his route, just a few blocks away. He glanced at the clock. 3:47 p.m. Time was slipping fast. Jake's mind spun. Was this a prank? A kid's joke? Or was someone really in danger? The note's messy handwriting looked desperate, like it was written in a panic. He tore open the package, hoping for more clues. Inside was a small, locked diary, no bigger than his hand, with a tiny key taped to it. His fingers fumbled as he unlocked it. The first page had one sentence. If you're reading this, you're my only hope. His stomach dropped. This was no joke. Someone needed him. Now, he grabbed his phone to call 911, but the screen showed no signal. The storm must have knocked out the cell tower. Jake's breath hitched. He was alone in this. The package's address label said 142 Elm Street, Apt 3B. He knew that old building, creaky, run down, with flickering lights in the halls. He delivered there before. Whoever wrote this note was close, maybe waiting for him to act. But what if he was too late? The thought made his chest tighten. He shoved the diary into his pocket, threw the truck into drive, and sped toward Elm Street, the note's words burning in his mind. Hurry! The story rewinds to that morning when Jake's day started like any other. He was a regular guy, 35 years old, with a scruffy beard and a love for cheesy action movies. He liked his job driving through quiet neighborhoods, waving to kids, dropping off birthday cards and packages. It was simple, predictable, but today felt off from the start. The sky was gray, heavy with clouds, and the air had a strange electric buzz, like something big was coming. Jake started his route at 7 a.m., loading his truck at the post office. His coworker, Maria, teased him about his messy hair. You look like you fought a tornado and lost, she said, laughing. Jake grinned, but his smile faded when he noticed a weird package in his stack. It was small, wrapped in plain brown paper, with no return address. The label was handwritten, unusual for his usual printed ones. He shrugged it off, tossing it into his truck with the others. He had no idea it would change everything. As he drove through his route, the storm rolled in. Slow at first, then fierce. Rain soaked his uniform as he dashed from house to house. By noon, his truck was half empty, but the package with no return address stayed in the back, nagging at him. Something about it felt wrong. He couldn't explain it, but his gut told him to check it closer. At his lunch break, parked under a dripping oak tree, he grabbed the package. That's when he saw the note. Now, speeding toward Elm Street, Jake's mind raced with questions. Who wrote the note? Why him? He'd never been a hero, just a guy delivering mail. But the diary in his pocket felt heavy, like it carried someone's life. The rain blurred the road ahead, and the old truck's wipers squeaked with every swipe. Elm Street was closed 2 minutes, maybe less. But as he turned a corner, his headlights caught something strange. A man in a black hoodie, standing in the rain, staring right at him. The man's face was hidden, but he raised a hand, pointing at Jake's truck. Then he vanished into an alley. Jake's heart pounded. Was that guy watching him? Did he know about the package, the diary? Jake gripped the wheel tighter, his eyes darting to the note still stuck to the package on the passenger seat. Hurry. He floored the gas, the truck rattling as he sped toward 142 Elm Street. But as he reached the building, its dark windows looming like eyes, a new fear hit him. What if he was walking into a trap? Jake's truck screeched to a stop in front of 142 Elm Street, the old apartment building looming like a ghost in the pouring rain. The dark windows stared down at him, and the air felt thick with secrets. He grabbed the package with a note, "Help. I'm trapped. 142 Elm Street. Hurry." And the tiny diary from his pocket. His heart thumped so loud he could hear it over the storm. That man in the black hoodie, the one who'd pointed at him, was gone. But Jake couldn't shake the feeling he was being watched. He took a deep breath, stuffed the diary into his jacket, and stepped out into the rain. The building's front door was unlocked, creaking as he pushed it open. The hallway smelled like mold and old paint, and the flickering lights buzzed overhead. Jake checked the mailboxes. App 3B was listed under L. Carter. No first name, just an initial. He clutched the package tighter and headed for the stairs, his wet boots squeaking on the floor. Every step echoed, making him feel like something or someone was listening. The note said, "Trapped." Was L. Carter the one who needed help? Or was it someone else, locked away in that apartment? Halfway up the stairs, Jake froze. A soft thud came from above, like something heavy hitting the floor. He held his breath, waiting. Silence. Then, another thud, louder this time. His stomach twisted. He wanted to turn back, to drive away and pretend he'd never seen that note. But the diary's words, "You're my only hope," pushed him forward. He wasn't a hero, but he couldn't ignore this. Not now. At the third floor, the hallway was darker, the lights dimmer. Apartment 3B was at the end, its door slightly ajar. Jake's heart raced. An open door wasn't a good sign. He crept closer, his hand trembling as he pushed it open. "Hello?" he called, his voice shaking. No answer. The apartment was small, cluttered with old furniture and stacks of books. A single lamp flickered in the corner, casting creepy shadows. On the coffee table sat an empty envelope with the same shaky red handwriting as the note. Jake's skin prickled. Someone had been here, maybe still was. He stepped inside, scanning the room. A faint scratching sound came from behind a closed door in the back. His mouth went dry. Was that L. Carter? Or something worse? He moved toward the door, the package still in his hand, when he noticed something on the floor. A single red crayon, snapped in half. It looked out of place, like it belonged to a kid. His mind flashed to the note's desperate scrawl. Was a child trapped here? Jake's hand hovered over the doorknob. The scratching stopped, replaced by a low, muffled whimper. His pulse pounded in his ears. He had to open that door, but every instinct screamed to run. Before he could decide, a loud crash echoed from the hallway behind him. He spun around, heart leaping to his throat. Footsteps heavy, fast were coming closer. Someone was in the building, heading straight for him. Was it the man in the hoodie, or someone else? Someone who didn't want him here. Jake backed against the wall, clutching the diary, his eyes darting between the closed door and the hallway. The footsteps stopped right outside the apartment. Then a shadow moved across the doorway. Jake pressed himself against the wall of apartment 3B, his breath shallow, the diary digging into his chest inside his jacket. The shadow in the doorway lingered, unmoving, as rain hammered the windows. The muffled whimper from behind the closed door in the apartment had stopped, but the silence felt heavier, like the calm before a storm. Jake's eyes flicked to the broken red crayon on the floor, then back to the doorway. The footsteps he'd heard seconds ago heavy, deliberate had gone quiet. Whoever was out there was waiting. Jake's mind raced. Was this the man in the black hoodie from the street, or someone connected to the note, "Help, I'm trapped. 142 Elm Street. Hurry." He gripped the package tighter, his knuckles white. He had to act, but his legs felt frozen. The diary's words, "You're my only hope," echoed in his head, pushing him forward. He couldn't run, not when someone might be counting on him. Slowly, he inched toward the closed door where the whimper had come from, keeping one eye on the hallway. His hand shook as he reached for the doorknob. It turned with a soft click. The door creaked open, revealing a small, dark room. A faint smell of damp wood hit him. In the corner, barely lit by a crack of light from a boarded-up window, was a small figure curled up on the floor, a girl, no older than 10, with tangled hair and wide, scared eyes. She clutched a stuffed rabbit, her hands trembling. Jake's heart stopped. "Hey," he whispered, kneeling down. "I'm Jake. I'm here to help." The girl's eyes darted past him, toward the open apartment door, and she shook her head, mouthing, "He's here." Before Jake could ask who, a low voice growled from the hallway, "You shouldn't be here." Jake spun around, his pulse spiking. A man stood in the doorway, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black hoodie. His face was half hidden by the hood, but his eyes glinted with something cold, dangerous. In his hand was a crowbar, tapping lightly against his leg. Jake's stomach lurched. This was the guy from the street, the one who'd pointed at his truck. He knew about the package. "Who are you?" Jake stammered, stepping in front of the girl to shield her. The man didn't answer. Instead, he took a slow step forward, the crowbar glinting under the flickering lamp. Jake's mind scrambled for a plan. His phone still had no signal, and the girl was too scared to move. He glanced at the package in his hand, then at the diary in his pocket. They were his only clues, but they felt useless now. The man tilted his head, like he was sizing Jake up. "You read the note," he said, his voice low and rough. "That was a mistake." Jake's heart pounded. How did he know about the note? Was he the one who trapped the girl? Or was he after something else? Something in the diary? Jake's eyes darted to the girl, who was inching toward the corner, clutching her rabbit tighter. He had to keep the man talking, buy time. "What do you want?" Jake asked, his voice steadier than he felt. The man smirked, stepping closer. "The diary. Hand it over, and maybe you walk out of here." Jake's hand instinctively went to his pocket where the diary was hidden. He hadn't read past the first page, but it was clearly important, maybe the key to everything. The girl whimpered again, and Jake's resolve hardened. He wasn't giving up the diary, not until he knew she was safe. Suddenly, the girl bolted, darting past Jake toward a closet in the room. The man lunged, his crowbar raised, but Jake threw himself forward, shoving the package at the man's chest to slow him down. It worked, just barely. The man stumbled, cursing, as Jake scrambled after the girl. She'd yanked open the closet door and was tugging at a loose floorboard inside. "It's here!" she whispered, her voice frantic. Jake knelt beside her, his hands shaking as he helped her pry the board up. Beneath it was a small metal box, locked tight, with the same red handwriting scratched into the lid. "Don't let him get this." The man's footsteps thundered closer. Jake grabbed the box, his mind racing. Whatever was inside, it was what the man wanted and what the girl was protecting. But as he turned to face the man, the crowbar swung down, aiming straight for him. Jake ducked, the crowbar whistling past his head, crashing into the wall with a splintering thud. Plaster dust rained down as he stumbled back, clutching the metal box. The girl screamed, scrambling deeper into the closet. The man in the hoodie lunged again, his eyes wild with anger. Jake's heart pounded like a drum. He had no weapon, no plan, just the diary in his pocket and the box in his hands. He threw the package at the man's face, buying a split second to dive into the closet with the girl. He slammed the door shut, his fingers fumbling for something to block it. "Stay down," he whispered to the girl, who was shaking, her stuffed rabbit pressed to her chest. The closet was cramped, smelling of dust and old clothes. Jake shoved a heavy box against the door, but it wouldn't hold long. The man pounded on it, each hit shaking the flimsy wood. "Give me the box," he roared, his voice muffled but furious. Jake's mind raced. The girl Elle. Carter, he assumed, knew something about the box. What's in it? He asked, his voice low and urgent. Her eyes, wide with fear, met his. It's proof, she stammered. He hurt my mom. It's why he locked me here. Jake's stomach twisted. Proof? Of what? A crime? He glanced at the metal box, its scratched red writing glinting in the dim light. Whatever was inside, it was enough to make this man chase them through a storm. The pounding stopped, and an eerie silence fell. Jake held his breath, listening. Then, a creak footsteps moving away. Was the man leaving, or planning something worse? Jake turned to the girl. What's your name? He asked, trying to keep her calm. Lila, she whispered. Lila Carter. She pointed at the box. Mom hid that before he took her. She said it'd keep us safe. Jake's chest tightened. This wasn't just about him anymore. Lila's mom was missing, maybe worse, and this box was their only hope. He tried the lock, but it wouldn't budge. The diary's key didn't fit. Frustration clawed at him, but he couldn't give up. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the apartment. Glass shattered, and heavy boots stomped closer. The man wasn't gone. He'd broken something, maybe a window, to get back in. Jake's eyes darted around the closet. A small vent in the wall caught his attention, barely big enough for Lila. Can you fit through there? He asked. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. He pried the vent open, the metal screeching. Crawl through, find help, he said, helping her squeeze inside. She hesitated, clutching her rabbit. What about you? She whispered. I'll be fine, Jake lied, his heart racing. The closet door rattled as the man kicked it, splintering the wood. Lila vanished into the vent, her soft sobs fading. Jake gripped the box, his only leverage. The door burst open, and the man stood there, crowbar raised, a twisted grin on his face. Last chance, he growled. Jake backed against the wall, the box heavy in his hands. Then he noticed something, a faint red glow pulsing from inside the box, like a heartbeat.